Hello, welcome to my weekly show, My Top Tips. This is episode 20th week, every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. IST. Today, we are going to talk about vendor management. Vendor management or third-party management is a big topic, is a big area in an organization these days. TPRM, third-party risk management, is gaining popularity. When I say popularity, I mean to say importance. The reasons because our supply chains are getting complex, longer, deeper, which means there is a possibility of vendors' failure that is also increasing. So we need to focus more on managing this risk. Some regulations like the operational resilience mandate in the UK by the Bank of England for the BFSI sector is looking at third party, fourth party, fifth and sixth party. It's going deep, or the term uses end to end. We need to know dependencies and we need to be managing those, including the resiliency of the vendor. Some organizations have told me, Daman, we do not know all our vendors. That's bad. Some other organizations would say, Daman, we have too many, 500 vendors. That's good. You are a big organization. You are a big business. I believe so. But the big question is to know them. Do we know who are those? Who are they? Where are they? What are our dependencies on them? Do we have any alternative? Do we have good enough information about our vendors? While we discuss this, I came to through my research, there's a lot of data that needs to be collected for about a vendor. And this talk is going to be a little longer, so it will go into 2 or 3 parts, it seems to me. Part 1 today, I'm only going to talk about the different types of data that we need to collect about or for one of our vendors. So starting with the basic information, which is the name, type, and their contacts, primary as well as secondary. That's basic business continuity or resilience. What are our payment terms with them? What has been a history? What rates have we fixed with them? And their tax numbers, tax identification numbers. This is financial data we need to capture about our vendor. What are our contractual commitments or their contractual commitments with us? Any legal documentation, licenses, permits, notes, certifications, etc. And the NDAs, very important. And one of my discussions, my top tips were about these NDAs. How have they been serving us? Delivery times and reliability, quality of goods and services, defect rates and returns, repeat offenders. Very important to me is the repeat offenders. I can make a mistake, but I should not be repeating the mistake. I should not be making the same mistake again. About their inventory and stock. What levels do they maintain? Do they have for you specifically? This becomes important because a vendor generally is not supporting only you. They may be supporting many customers. So they need to be doing a lot more for each of them perhaps, but you are worried about yourself as of now. So tell me, what levels of inventories do you maintain for me? What are our lead times for restocking and forecasted demand and supply, which may come from you? Demand, you will tell. Supply, they have to tell whether they are capable of fulfilling or not. Risks for that vendor. So do they have risk management process in place? Do they have business continuity in place? Do they look at sustainability and ethics and other plans like incident management, crisis management, IT disaster recovery, information, and cyber security? So basically, whatever you have, you would like to look into your vendors also. How do they stand? Where do they stand with respect to compliance to whatever rules and regulations the vendor is expected to, supposed to follow? Are they following or not? Because otherwise, that becomes a risk for you, including, we may say, quality management system, environment management system, energy management system, information security management system, business continuity management system, etc. Operational resilience, organizational resilience. What is the history of communication with this vendor? Too many? Is there any risk then? Is there an issue then? Too less? So are we really working? Too less communication means that we two, me the client, you the vendor, or you the client, me the vendor, we are not actually working. It's not a fruitful relationship, it seems, if the communication is too low, too less. What has been the relationship? Again, we'll have to look into the complaints raised by vendor, raised by us, and how do we resolve? How fast do we resolve? Once again, some of those parameters may be repeated. How long do we take to respond? How long do we take to resolve? If there have been any repeat offenders, have we written any stinkers to them? Has there been any legal proceeding between the two parties? Next type of data that you would like to have, you would like to look into from for a vendor would be the market intelligence. What do they do? It is possible that through their intelligence, the vendor prescribes or proposes to you a new product or service or an improvement in an existing one based on their market intelligence. Which all cities, countries are they operating from becomes important to you, because accordingly your risk matrix changes. With respect to IP, any violations to any IPs, including copyrights, which is said to be the easiest and the most exploited, neglected, breached IP. But also, if they are writing blogs, papers, articles, research, any patents developed or applied for, that tells you the maturity of your vendor in that particular domain. Next would be the performance related data. What are the key performance indicators they have kept for themselves, for their business, and how are they faring on those? These could be internal benchmarks between you, the client, and the vendor, or it could be external benchmarks also. You would also like to know what are they doing, your vendors, with respect to sustainability and social responsibility, corporate social responsibility. Not only money, time, effort, not only spent, but what has been the achievements, what has been the effectiveness of those. That's important to look into. What innovations are being done? How much are they spending? Again, time, money, and effort on research and development. Have you reached to a stage, the client and vendor once again, where you would have attempted to establish center of excellence? That's the highest level of maturity between the two organizations, or the trust or the relationship that might have been achieved, developed. Do they use data analytics? What do they do? How do they use? With respect to reporting, how good, bad, or ugly they are. How have they been using this information, data, reports in decision making? Once again, for yourself and for themselves. You would also like to know what is their adoption of the new technologies, for example, blockchain and AI, etc. You're asking this question to your vendors. Whatever SLAs do you have, other commitments you have through the contract, are they compliant to those? Are they achieving those, maintaining those, or if possible, doing better than what has been written in the contract? But it cannot be less than that. Then that should be an alarm being raised. Who are their key personnel? How experienced they are? What is the education level? So a lot about employee recruitment, induction, maintenance management, including the retrenchment also. Exit policy needs to be looked into. We'll talk about that most likely in part 2 of our discussions, because these top tips, the duration is only 15 minutes, and I'm looking at the time for today as well. Do they have a change management process, and how good, bad, or ugly it is? I recently have attempted to say I am proposing to the world a change in the standard change management process. In another episode, I'll talk about that also. What do they do with respect to information security, cyber security, or specifically you can talk about data security? What rules, regulations they are following, if there have been any breaches, with what impact of that breach was, what was done, what improvements have been made, and if they are certified compliance either to GDPR or any other rule act management system, including operational resilience. There is no certification. A standard certification or an ISO standard certification, we can be very specific. DCM has certification, information security has certification. Perhaps there is no certification for cybersecurity or information security. Sorry, for cybersecurity yet. For information security, there is a management system called ISO 27001, and there is a certifiable standard. So you may be looking into that. Any vendor who is certified provides you more assurance because it's a third-party certification. How do they fare with respect to regulatory compliance for themselves? Health and safety is very important. This is also on the management system. ISO 45000 has been released now. So compliance with health and safety regulations and occupational safety practices for vendor employees. You may like to go to type, number of incidents happened, and the impact, if there are any impact on their staff also, hurt, sick, or losing lives. This is what I was talking about. ISO 14001 is environment management system. So do they understand, your vendors, what is their carbon footprint? How much harm are their operations doing to the environment? Are they controlling? Do they even know about United Nations Sustainable Development Goals? There are 17 in all. What are they doing with respect to delighting their customers? This question is again for your vendors. Do they conduct satisfaction surveys? And what do they, how do they score? And alignment of vendor or services products with customer needs. Ultimately, NPS, which stands for Net Promoting Score or Net Promoter Score. This technique or tool approach developed by Bain and Company is very effective, simple, short, quick to look at the employee satisfaction. Employees may be customer satisfaction, which may be internal or external. Any score above 50% on the scale is amazing. So you may be asking this question to yourself, but to your vendors also when it comes to customer delight. This is where I would like to stop today. The topic in this weekly show, my top tips, was vendor management. And we started understanding that there is a lot of data that needs to be collected about vendors. These discussions may go into part 2 and 3 as well. Today, we had part 1. When I said there is a lot of data to be collected, it's not only collection, it is about analyzing and coming out with some meaningful inferences also. And this is not one-time activity. This is not once a year activity. This perhaps will have to continue over the year. We have seen about 20 different types of data to be collected. Next episode may be telling you 25 more. So it is a big complex area, vendor management or third-party risk management. If you have any questions with respect to vendor management or third-party risk management or resilience overall, please feel free to write to me. This is your host, Daman Dev Sood, logging off from this weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST, just 50 minutes discussions. Have a great day. Bye-bye.